Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 9th meeting of the School Board of Directors. Before we begin tonight, I would like to take a moment of silence for Donna Murtaugh, who passed away. Donna was an assistant group supervisor for our Kinder Kids daycare program. Thank you. The first item on our work session agenda tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance by Primos and Highland Park elementary school students. So if they could come up to the microphone, I would appreciate it.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The second item on our work session agenda tonight is Kathy's Kids presentation by Ms. DeVito, principal of Highland Park Elementary School.
Before we continue, can you also have a moment of silence for one of our students that passed away at the beginning of the month, Connor Shepard, please?
Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. So, Mrs. DeVito.
Good evening, everyone. I am the proud principal of Highland Park Elementary School. Mrs. Simone, more greatness will be coming your way in a few years. Highland Park has many wonderful partnerships throughout our community, and one of them is with the Dunwoody retirement community. Kathy's Kids was a district initiative that was started over 20 years ago. Elementary schools were paired up with local nursing homes and senior groups. Originally, Aronimick was paired with Dunwoody, and Kathy Daly, who was a classroom teacher there, began to take her classroom, and Kathy's Kids was born. Even when other schools no longer participated, Kathy kept the program going with Dunwoody. When she became an ELL teacher, she came to Highland Park, and she brought the program with her. At first, the residents of Dunwoody were apprehensive of having students that had different English language skills. Kathy and our current director of this program, Susan Farley, went out to Dunwoody to meet with the residents and talk about the kids that we would bring to them. After the first visit, not surprising, the residents fell in love with our students, and the students of Highland Park fell in love with them too.
I don't know if you're able to hear behind me, but we work with the Highland Park children, and we have a program, and we call it the Intergenerational Program.
It's really a program that a lot of people don't realize. It's not maybe advertised enough.
Apparently the district had, each school was paired with a nursing home or something like that, and Kathy Daly took her class to Dunwoody.
And I think she just spoke to our marketing director, Elaine, and asked if this is something our residents would like to do. They were all for it, and I think that's how it began.
They come here once a month, the students do, and we all have special students we work with.
Mrs. Turner is my partner. She's so funny and she's nice to me. She helped me and I help her.
Our kids will go with their partner and sit and talk about whatever has been going on in their life at that point. And then usually we have some sort of activity, either reading or a craft.
As you'll see today, the children are getting ready for spring, and they're doing Forsythia in vases. And I can hear that they totally are having a lot of fun.
And something sort of fun at the end that they can do, like a seek and find or something.
We ate snacks and we played cards and board games.
It's kind of like an hour of fun, but using your mind too.
They come, they're polite, they're energetic, they stay on task.
Some are shy in the beginning.
At first they're real hesitant when they hear they're going to go and they're having a partner.
At the beginning I was a little shy and didn't want to talk much, but the second time and the third, I was more energetic and outgoing.
They get more talkative, and of course some kids are just generally more talkative as the program goes on through the year.
It was fun every time we went there because we started to know each other more.
I would hope they'd enjoy being with a senior citizen because we enjoy their energy and their interest.
They get very attached to you, and when it's time for them to leave, they get very emotional about it.
One of the students asked, "Can I live here?"
It's so beautiful and good there.
To me, it's special. I've always loved children, and I don't have any grandchildren, so to me, these are my grandchildren.
They're like my grandparents.
And they just get a lot out of it. It's a fun time.
I think they just enjoy having that young energy and everything around them for a while, and they get to do something with them and talk and learn about it.
The children are so enthusiastic. It makes us feel that way, I think.
This is the best day of the month for all of us. Only one time a month, and we keep wishing it were 2 or every other week.
At this point, Dunwoody has now taken over the expense of the bus, so that's great. That's our outreach program for the community, and so many of the members or people have been coming for so many years, like really want to keep it going.
It's a wonderful idea. It's a wonderful program.
I totally love this program. I totally look forward to it.
So yes, we will keep going with the ELL students as long as we can.
Kathy Daly is here tonight, and Susan Farley, and our Highland Park kids. It's our second graders that participate in this program, and even the kids that have gone on, they still keep a bond with their buddy. So as you could see, the students do form this special bond, and that continues. And we also have DeChelli and our other ELL teacher. But you guys want to come up real quick, Kathy? And where's our kids? Highland Park students. So thank you for bringing the program to Highland Park and keeping it going.
I just want to add that my kids were fortunate enough to be part of the program with Kathy Daly at Aronimink, and it really did change their lives, and they look forward to it. So it actually made me really emotional to see that.
The third item on our work session agenda tonight is a mindfulness presentation by Mr. Bill Rogers, the principal of Primos Elementary School.
Good evening, board members, staff, and the Upper Darby community. I'm Bill Rogers, the principal of Primos Elementary School. I'd like to thank you for affording me the opportunity to stand before you tonight to brag a little bit about the great things that are happening at Primos Elementary School. Although mindfulness and trauma-informed care are not unique to just Primos Elementary, I feel like our building has a little bit of a head start in building a culture of understanding around the topic. Over the past few years, small cohorts of our teachers volunteered their time on a biweekly basis for 5 sessions. During those sessions, they spoke about the effects on our youth of trauma. We also spoke about ways that we can assist our students and apply some different techniques in the classroom to assist our students. As an incentive for the teachers volunteering, any teacher that did participate, at this point we have total participation throughout the entire building. They were given the materials to furnish calming corners in their classrooms. Some teachers also have different types of seating in their classrooms. A few teachers have some stationary bikes for underneath of their desks, and this lines up pretty well with what we do now with Lakeside as well. As you'll see in the video that follows, and a big thank you to Jason for all of his work in putting this together. Thank you, Jason. The Primos students and teachers believe that mindfulness and the utilization of our calming corners have a direct impact on both academic and social success.
I don't really do that. When I'm getting ready to talk in front of a camera, I'm just doing that to calm myself down. Ready?
About 2 years ago, we started with trauma-informed care here. It was kind of birthed out of a mindset or philosophy that some of us had as teachers with students that were dealing with traumatic events in life. and how that would affect them during the school day.
Now there's all of this research out there that shows that early childhood development and experience that kids have actually impacts the way that their brain develops. So teachers understand that like a lot of our students' brains have just developed differently, so they need different strategies and different tools to help those kids, learn.
As kids, we are very energetic, so relaxing and winding down makes it easier to learn and to pay attention.
We had one teacher, Michelle Mooney, who she has over the years kind of taken it upon herself to bring mindfulness in her room.
I have a few children who have some difficulty sometimes controlling their emotions. A lot of times if you just get them and go, okay, breathe, and you do it with them, and they start to calm down. I mean, there's so much more to mindfulness, being present in the mind. We talk about the emotions as well.
Ms. Hensel has been doing it for years with yoga in the classrooms.
Now I do guided meditation with them. We do visualizations.
Some things that people do with slime to calm them down, like it's like a stress toy kind of.
When you teach kids the self-regulation skills, they can learn how to catch themselves.
So now we do our mindfulness, we do the mindfulness in the morning, and we do a midday mindfulness as well. We do visualizations, and a lot of them really like it.
And then as Primos has embarked on our, journey towards integrating trauma-informed care, it's really been a nice blend, and we sort of do feel like we're on the, we've been a front runner in this area.
I think we're the only building that every classroom has a calming corner. I mean, down to the gym.
The calming corners where they can go and just kind of sit and take a moment and use their breaths and use their yoga and use all of those different things.
The calming corner is to help students that feel stressed or need to calm down.
The teachers have been really creative in using this space in their classroom.
Because it is individualized for the classroom. It has to work for the teacher. It has to work for the students in the classroom.
One of the teachers upstairs, I modeled after her, she had curtains hung. So it's like its own little room. Another teacher upstairs has a back closet, and that's where their calming corner is, so that's really cool.
If they got enough stuff for the calming corner, then they would be able to get a calming corner in their classroom if they need it.
The school gave us things to put in the calming corner,
which includes beanbags, curtains, fidgets.
So I have cards with yoga positions. So sometimes you'll see the little feet under the curtain doing the little different yoga positions.
You have these squishies, they are scented. There's also magazines in here. We can do different ways to shake it up. It has glitter and it looks beautiful. Don't you think?
Yes, of course, it's a fun novelty at first, and they all want to grab everything all at once and all use it.
But the big thing is for students to learn when they need it. It's just another coping strategy. It's another tool to use in the classroom.
If you need to use the calming corner, we have this sign.
And if you see the little three, I just kind of nod, and they just quietly go over. There's no discussion. They just go.
There is a time limit on being in the calming corner.
And then when the timer goes off, they come back out and they sit down, they get to work.
They do really help people. It's really easy to learn now, to focus, and I have no doubt that it's gonna keep working all the way until June.
Now that it's been in the building for 2 years, it's part of the culture of the building. The students know it. They know that every single classroom has it.
We teach math and we teach reading, and now it turns out we also are teaching, self-regulation strategies.
It's not that I'm just doing it right there in class and that's it. They use it throughout their day.
Techniques you could do at home, you could do them in school, you could do them whenever you're stressed for a test.
This is a good thing for the entire district where we are teaching foundational skills. And if these skills can continue to be built on, we're talking about making this community an even better place to live. And what better way to do it than have the students who live here learning these skills, and they're being used throughout their schooling and throughout their Upper Darby career. So I thank you for the opportunity to present. We hope to continue to build off of everything that's been established so far at Primos, hopefully also with the help of Lakeside. I do also want to take the time to thank my teachers over there, a few of which are here tonight. Thank you for your commitment and dedication to our kids. Thank you.
Thank you so much, teachers. I know that you put a lot into that work, and we can see it working. I know I can feel it when I come into your building, so thank you. All right, the regular meeting of the Upper Darby School Board of Directors will please come to order. There was a closed session on March 12th from 9:51 p.m. until 10:04 p.m. for personnel and litigation matters, and from this evening from 5:30 to 7:35 p.m. for matters to be discussed within limitations for closed deliberations as prescribed by Pennsylvania Act 93 of 1998. For this evening's meeting, they were personnel and litigation. Roll call, please. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Gentile?
Here.
Mr. Desnoyers? Here. Ms. Jordan?
Here.
Mr. Rucci? Dr. Taylor? Here. Mr. Fields? Here. Ms. Curry? Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Mitchell?
Here. All right, I have the minutes of the combined work session and regular meeting. Mr. Brown?
The minutes of the combined work session, regular meeting of March 12, 2019, and the special meeting minutes of March 26, 2019 are in the hands of each board member and have been made available to the public. I move for their adoption.
Second. Are there any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Grant.
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers? Aye. Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Fields? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. The report of the secretary, please, Mr. Brown.
The report of the secretary is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Grant.
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers? Aye. Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Fields? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. The report of the treasurer, please, Mr. Brown.
The report of the treasurer is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Grant.
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers? Aye. Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Fields? Aye. Mr. Brown? Aye. Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. The next up, we're going to have a report of our student representative, Zoe, who's here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Sarah tonight does not, she's not here. She's at FBLA States, so she is competing as of this moment, actually, and I think it's going well from what I've heard. So we'll know the official results at the next meeting. So I will be reporting on both sections of the report tonight. So the first one is the high school highlight. This past week, Upper Darby High School hosted their College and Career Week, and each day of the week we had a separate activity planned. So on Monday, students were able to interact with mascots from all over the area, including Rosemont, Cabrini, University of Penn, Penn State, Maine, St. Joe's, and many others. Tuesday, we highlighted post-secondary career options for students who are not planning on attending college. On Wednesday, we hosted a college and career fair during all lunch periods in which students were able to meet with college representatives from all over the county. That day, students also were able to speak about the college application process with their counselors in general and with the college representatives from the school. On Thursday, students were able to speak with their teachers about their college experience, including how they applied, where they applied, and how they decided on what they wanted to study. And on Friday, students and staff alike were able to wear their college gear, and they were showing off what school they attended in regard to the teachers and what school they plan to attend in regards to the students. So that is it for our high school report. Now I have a music update for the middle schools and high schools. So the past few weeks, all three, Beverly Hills Middle School and Upper Darby, have displayed wondrous music talent. Drexel Hill Middle School and Beverly Hills Middle School both held their annual spring musicals. Beverly Hills Middle School performed Oh My Goodness. It was an Annie spinoff that incorporated elements from the Broadway musical Wicked, and Drexel Hill Middle School performed The Timeless Wizard of Oz. Both performances were truly amazing, and they were evidence of the hard work those students put in over the past few months to prepare for the productions. At the same time as the middle school productions, the high school was preparing for their Pops concert, which is an instrumental and music choral group concert, and they performed well-loved songs such as Bohemian Rhapsody, the theme from Les Mis, and the theme from Superhero. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. They were very enjoyable. So, and I heard you guys had a great week this week for College and Career Week. So thank you. The next up is the budgeted personnel and enrollment reports. They've been made available to the board and the public and are recorded as part of the record. No vote is required. And now we'll have the report of Superintendent Dr. McGarry.
I guess, Madam President, members of the board and the public, thank you for coming out this evening. I do want to recognize, Zoe, every time I hear you speak and you represent the school district, it's such a reflection on your family that's here, your mom that's here, and the school district. You present yourself so well, so it's a compliment to you and your family. I know you want to be a teacher one day, so way to go. You do a great job. Thank you. I'd like to thank also the Highland Park teachers and staff and administration, as well as Primos, for all the work that you're doing. I think the Trauma-Informed Care Initiative and also giving back to the community and working with senior citizens is very, very important. I would like to update the community regarding the impact of school closings this year due to inclement weather. So far this school year, we have had 4 closings that were not planned on our district calendar, with Beverly Hills as the exception, having an additional day because of poor power outage in September. Act 80 requires us to have 180 instructional days for students. There is also a requirement to have 450 instructional hours for part-time kindergarten, 900 hours for elementary students, 990 hours for secondary students. Our 2018-19 school calendar includes 183 instructional days. This means that for the 2018-2019 school year, we are currently 4 instructional days short of the mandated number of days required. Based on the instructional hours built into our regular student day, and students that are here, you're going to want to pay attention to this as well as staff, we are not at risk of falling below the instructional hours required by the state. While we have fallen short of the required 100 instructional days, Act 80 allows a school district to apply for an exception for professional development days, making them count towards the 100 instructional days required. We have enough of these potential exemption days to cover us for the 2018-2019 school year. Therefore, at this time, this is the part, kids and staff, we will not be adding any days to our district calendar. You can clap. I would also like to inform the public that Mr. Grant and Mr. Craig Rogers will present an update to the board and public regarding our 2018-19 budget process during our next meeting. That will be a preliminary proposed final budget. The board will adopt the proposed final budget at the May board meeting. The budget will also discuss staffing requests for the 19-20 school year. A final adoption of the final budget will take place during a special voting meeting on June 18th, 2019. I've been meeting with staff throughout the district since my appointment as superintendent of schools for this wonderful community. Thus far, I have met with the staff from Walter M. Sanko Elementary School and Primos Elementary School. I will continue to meet with staff throughout April and May. This evening, I am also proud to continue to highlight the outstanding accomplishments of our students. While not in attendance this evening, 28 students participated in the Delaware County Science Fair. Of our 28 participants, 28 were selected to receive an award. We will be recognizing those students with a certificate from my office. The winners from this competition qualified to go on to the Delaware Valley Science Fair on Wednesday, April 3rd, with over 900 students from the tri-state area in attendance. We have so much talent in this district, and the talent begins with the support and guidance of our teachers, our parents, and all of our families. Our Upper Darby High School staff, students, and administration are doing such great work, and we will continue to be represented at the next awards ceremony. Ms. Roseanne Burns, I believe you're in attendance tonight. I'd like to call up some of our Delaware Valley Science winners. Jenna Yako, if you're with us. So I need your help. Zach Finley. If some of you. Nate Polidoro. Layla Nakimson. Layla's on there. Chris Dwyer. I just want to acknowledge again Miss Burns. She'll be up here for a little bit longer with her other kids. Miss Burns, if you could raise your hand, she's an unbelievably talented and dedicated teacher here in Upper Level School. I understand there's other county award winners here in the audience. We will be meeting with you and giving those certificates as well in your buildings moving forward. All right? They can come up for a picture, sure. All right, we've got a lot of congratulations. Miss Roseanne Burns, who continues to do an amazing job. I just want to recognize, too, I've come to understand that the Upper Darby High School Lunar Planetary Club. On March 15th, the Upper Darby High School Lunar Planetary Club presented their original research titled The Transition from Simple to Complex Craters to the Delaware Valley Amateur Astronomers during their monthly meeting. The students have been conducting a 2-year study to learn about the surfaces of Pluto and its moon Charon. Using the Geospatial Information System, Upper Darby students were the first in the world to analyze the craters on Pluto and Charon to determine what is called the transition diameter, the simple to complex craters. Miss Burns has informed me that, quote, knowing this and the surface gravity, it can be determined whether the surface is either icy or rocky. It is even more impressive that a year ago, the students contacted 2 professional planetary geologists who encouraged them to seek publication for their amazing work. The students had to field questions from audience members, scientists, and science enthusiasts. Here's another special note that makes this accomplishment so special. The unifying and unity of this district came on full display when 4 members of the Upper Darby High School class of 2018, who began this research, returned from college to participate in the presentation. So I just wanted to thank you and those students that came back for your awesome work. The students that are not here that came back from college, that were graduates, are Zach Thornton, Chris DeMott, Isabel Hunt, and Thomas Nguyen. So 4 kids who were here, pretty awesome. The Lunar Planetary Club will be presenting on April 10th to the Rittenhouse Astronomical Society at the Academy of Natural Sciences. Pretty cool. Congratulations to Upper Darby High School senior Reem Muhammad, who was awarded the 2019 Penn Medicine Teen Champion Award. Reem, if you could step up, that'd be great. Reem has been a volunteer with the Penn Medicine organization and was nominated by her teachers and counselors. When she showed up to volunteer at their Global Teen Week kickoff ceremony, I've come to find out that she was surprised to learn that she was the teen champion and received that award. Congratulations. On March 2nd, Kyle Gordon, a 6th grader at Drexel Hill Middle School, Kyle, if you can step up, competed against 12-year-old boys from all over the country in track for the 800-meter event. He finished 9th in the country overall in the event with a time of 2 minutes, 28 seconds. At the AAU Indoor Track and Field National Championship in Landover. Stay up there for a second, because not to be outdone by her older brother is Casey Gordon of Primos Elementary School. So get this, Casey competed for the Primos Elementary School student. She competed in the 8-door meter run against 7- and 8-year-old girls from all over the country. She finished 2nd in her age group with a time of 3 minutes, 6 seconds.
Thank you. I'm very, but Grandma. I'm not the grandparent.
Congratulations to our Beverly Hills Middle School boys track 4x100 relay team who finished 3rd. Come on up, guys. Finished 3rd at the Penn Relays with a time of 48 seconds. Montez Ellis, Andre Hennigan, Kamaldim Abdigate, Amir Hill Hoskins. Congratulations.
Everyone needs to smile.
I'd like to ask Dawei Sullivan to come on up. Dawei from Garriford Elementary School participated in the 2019 National Geographic GOB Pennsylvania State Competition. Out of 40,000 initial participants across the state, 40,000, he finished 16th in the top 16th. And finally, I'd like to ask coaches Nico Papaciaris as well as Matt White to come up and join me. Mr. Noonan, come on up. Our athletic director started a program where we do our own March Madness with our elementary schools. I'll ask Nico and the team to introduce the Primos, March Madness elementary school champions.
So on behalf of the Primos community, we're so proud of this group of students who took the championship and brought it back to Primos Elementary. They're an unbelievable group of kids who succeed in the classroom, and they're role models in their community. I want to thank the high school students as well who donated their time doing the clock to make this possible. Mr. Noonan, thanks for putting it together. It's all our kids talked about for a couple weeks now. So Mr. White and Mr. P put a lot of hours in the gym with the kids. So I want to give them a big round of applause. And with that said, I'm going to call our students up. McAllen Napalm.
Do we have a song? Like
Strong Power Forward. Yep. Editus Addy. Peyton Clifton Beal. Sanusi Barry. AJ Gentile. Javon Banner, Ben Werner, Jameer Jacobs, Mikhail Nair, and last holding a nice shiny trophy, Jude Ennis. Hold it up.
Before I conclude my comments, I'd like to say that tomorrow night at Drexel Hill Middle School at 6 o'clock, there'll be a live streaming as well as an opportunity for engagement with the entire community to come out to continue the discussion on the facilities planning in the school district. It'll be live streaming, and if folks cannot make it, we'll also be taking questions live. We'll attempt to answer those questions at Drexel Hill at 6 and then put them on an FAQ for the ones that we can't get to during that meeting. And then at 7:15, we'll also hold a live streaming with opportunity for live questions to come in at Beverly Hills Middle School to continue our discussions and our town hall meetings over facilities. Board President Mitchell and members of the Board of School Directors, this concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to call up the president of the Upper Darby Education Association, Melanie Macomberio.
Hello, everybody. Again, I'm Mel Macomberio, president of UDEA, and I am here in support of the facilities plan that we have. I worked at Beverly Hills Middle School for 12 years, and during those 12 years at that middle school, I saw rooms, a beautiful library that had recently been created, have to be carved up to make classrooms. I have seen computer labs, again, having to be used as a classroom, and not a very effective classroom, but it was the best they had. Faculty room, where teachers could come and collaborate and work together. That had to be taken so that we could, once again, fit our students into these rooms. We have tried to work out every nook and cranny to try to accommodate all of our kids. And if you go to Drexel Hill, you can go in the back and there is a city of mobile classrooms. These buildings were not designed to hold the amount of kids that we have. It doesn't create an effective and even a safe, in some cases, environment for our students. And our students deserve better. And so for that reason, I do support the facilities plans. I do support another middle school. Thank you.
Next up, I'm going to give a summary of the Education and Pupil Services meeting. Mrs. Curry was not able to be with us tonight, so I will be reading that summary. On March 26th, we had a committee of the Education and Pupil Services. On the agenda, we had 4 agenda items. The first agenda item was the district equity plan. It requires board action. You'll see that tonight we're asking the board in the reports to have the year 2 of the district equity plan with Core Win Press. Agenda item number 2 was CS Fundamentals Express. Board action is required. Mr. Rob Schwartz and Ms. Beth Riches presented a revision to the 6th grade computer elective using code.org to incorporate a Computer Science Teacher Association K-12 computer science standards into our curriculum. If we approve this tonight, the course will allow all 6th grade students to create computer programs that will assist in learning to collaborate with others, develop problem-solving skills, and persist through difficult tasks. According to code.org, this course develops programming concepts, conceptual thinking, digital citizenship, and develop interactive games through block-based programming. All appropriate district paperwork has been submitted. The third item was an informational item on the PSSAs, and as we know, students have or will be participating in the PSSAs, and there's been a parent information phone call and letters home. Number 4 was board action required for policies. We have 1, 2, 3 policies, which Mr. Desnores will go over when it's time for that. They were 108, adoption of textbooks, 806, child abuse, and 827, conflict of interest. There were 3 comments from the public. All of this information, the things that were presented, the summary, are all available on our board docs, as well as a video of the entire meeting, which you can view under the school board tab under board video archive, I believe. So I hope that you'll take the time to look at that if you want to know a little bit more information. And next, I'm going to ask Mr. Brown to go over the Finance and Operations Committee agenda.
On March 26th, the Finance and Operations Committee met. There were 3 agenda items. The first was informational. Regarding the Delaware County Intermediate Unit. It was the budget review. There was a presentation by Mr. Thomas Brown, Chief Operation and Financial Officer of the Delaware County Intermediate Unit, on the district's special education contract, Delaware County Vocational Technical School budget, and the IU's operating budget adoption by the IU Board earlier in March. Total expenditures for the 2019-20 general operating budget are $9,343,629, representing a 2.3% increase. The district's contribution are $87,448. Total expenditures for the 2019-20 Delaware County technical schools are $14,002,025, representing an increase of 2.47%. The district's contribution for the technical school and special education technical programs are $915,118 and $215,035 respectively. Total expenditures for the 2019-2020 special education program budget are $19,345,552, representing a 1.0% increase. The district share of the 2019-20 special education student services contract and special education fair share are $2,774,409 and $485,363 respectively. Agenda item number 2, which did require board consensus, there was a presentation by Mr. Mike Lillies, Managing Director of RBC Capital Markets, LLC, on the debt service requirements for the financing for the new middle school, aerodynamic renovation/addition, and continuing capital improvements at the other district facilities. The district will require to finance $106,837,743 to complete the aforementioned capital projects over the course of the next 4 years. A debt service analysis was reviewed reflecting increment percent of millage increase for the first 6 years, ranging from 0.57% to 0.69% annually until the debt service requirements leveled for all of the remaining 28 years. The cumulative impact to an average residential taxpayer with an assessed value of $75,000 will be $3,339 over the 34-year lifespan of the financing. Agenda item number 3 was informational. It was the preliminary budget presentation. District Administration presented an overview of the 2019-2020 General Fund preliminary budget. The presentation provided a high-level summary of the 2019-2020 preliminary budget, which included a breakdown of expenditures and revenues in comparison to the 2018-2019 preliminary budget. District Administration also discussed the breakdowns of staffing, salary, benefits, tuition, and special education expenditures. In addition, the impact of a potential tax increase was presented to provide examples of how various increases would impact the district's revenue as well as the annual impact on taxpayers. There were numerous public comments. I won't read those verbatim, but there were 2 for agenda item number 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4 for agenda item number 2. That completes my report, my summary report. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Again, that's also available on the website as well as the video and all the supporting documents. The next up, in Ms. Curry's absence, I'm going to ask Ms. Gentile to please move the instruction and curriculum report.
The instruction and curriculum report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public, and I move for its adoption.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Aye. Mr. Fields? Aye. Mr. Brown? Aye. Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. The next up is the personnel report. Dr. Taylor.
The personnel report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Thank you. Are there any comments from board members?
Yes, I have a few comments. First, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our retirees for their years of service to the district. We wish you a happy and restful retirement. Next, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate a few individuals who are present today on their new positions in the district. Please stand when called upon. So first, our Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Ed Marshlat. Our new Chief Financial Officer, Craig Rogers. Controller, Marvin Lee. Principal of Drexel Hill Middle School, Matthew Alloway. Director of Elementary Education, Frank Salerno. Manager of Facilities, Tim Leaf. High School Assistant Principal, Wayne Remy. And last but certainly not least, Manager of Media Services, Jason Taylor.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. I do just want to take this time just to welcome Mr. Lee into our district as our controller. We're so excited to be working with you, and you bring a wealth of experience to the district, and we're very excited. To the rest of you who have been very patient during the superintendent search process, I want to thank you for your commitment to the school district, for all of the work that you've done in your years of service here, and we are glad to solidify your appointments tonight. So thank you so much. Are there any other comments from board members?
I do have a couple comments. First of all, congratulations to all the retirees, but there are two that definitely stand out. Heather Berdinelli, who, I don't know if she's here this evening, but Because of Heather, my daughter, and her experience in that pre-K lab is why she wants to be a teacher. She was an incredible teacher, not only to my children, but I know to all the students that went through the high school. You have her now, and Zoe has her now. So I only can wish her the best of luck. And also to Mark Fiore. I don't know if he's in the room also, but he's somebody who's been part of this district, part of the fabric for a very long time. So I only can wish him the best of luck in his future endeavor. And also congratulations to all our new appointees. And also, Dr. McGarry knows how I feel, and Dr. Council about moving forward when these opportunities come up for new positions, that we just don't forget about the employees who are long service employees in the district who have really showed us their dedication. So, as you know how I feel, Dr. McGarry. Yes. So I just want to reiterate that again. But congratulations to everybody.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please. Mr. Grant.
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Mr. Fields? Mr. Brown? Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much. The next up, Mr. Desnoyers, is the policy report, which is in its second reading.
The policy report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Are there any comments from the board?
Yes. The three policies we're voting on tonight are policies 108, adoption of textbooks, policy 806, child abuse, and policy 827, conflict of interest. The exact updates to the policies can be found on board docs.
Thank you. So I had a motion and a second. Are there any other comments from board members? Any comments from the public on the proposed policies? Seeing none. Mr. Grant?
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Mr. Fields? Excuse me, Mr. Brown? Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. The next up, Ms. Gentile, is the supplies report.
The supplies report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public, and I move for its adoption.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none.
Ms. Gentile?
Aye.
Mr. Desnoyers?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Mr. Fields? Mr. Brown? Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. The next up is our facilities report, use of facilities report, and the donation report. Mrs. Jordan.
Thank you, Madam President. The facilities report, the use of the facilities report, and the donation report are in the hands of each board member and have been made available to the public, and I move for their adoption this evening.
Second.
Are there any comments from the board? Ms. Jordan?
Madam President, I would like to thank all the people who made donations this month. We have a donation from the Penn Museum for the Upper Darby High School Supplemental Autistic Support and Life Skills Field Trip. They donated $1,300. Also, I'd like to thank Dr. Durans, who donated to Beverly Hills Middle School Science Program. He donated $1,250. And lastly, to the Upper Darby Arts and Education Foundation, they donated $12,000 to 404 orchestra much-needed seats in the Performing Arts Center. Thank you.
Any comments from the public?
Mike Humphreys, 35 Arch Street, Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania. You're going to spend $50,000, $60,000 to $70,000 on the new middle school in Clifton. Is the board aware that there's a deed restriction on that property? No building is allowed. Now I've said it publicly, now you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public?
James Santora, 5228 Apache Lane. Is that donation report complete, Ms. Jordan? Yeah, because there was a lot of other people that made some donations to the chairs, to the middle school, for different groups to be able to go on different state championship events, and I just didn't hear any of their names.
I mean, the report that I was given was what I read off, but I can follow up to see if any other donations came in. Mr. Grant?
They're based upon the completed ARs that are turned into our offices for approval.
Okay, and then,
There were no other ARs that were turned into our offices in the last month.
all right, and then Mr. Humphreys just brought up the deed restriction for the 6.6 acres. Can somebody address that so we can just get that elephant out of the room?
All right, we are in fact looking into that. The deeds say what the deeds say, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the restriction applies. So we're looking into it. All I said was that we're looking into it.
That's not what you said. You said more than that. I'd like you to repeat yourself so I can hear you because I cannot hear you.
If you could please not call out. Mr. Berman, would you please repeat what you said the first time?
What I said the first time was that the deeds say what the deeds say. However, we are looking into it to see whether or not they apply.
Do we have any word on PlanCon being reopened that would help some of these issues? Nothing?
No.
Okay. And this overall 147, I'm using that number. I don't know. I think that's about where you're at. Does that include the work that needs to be done in the existing schools, such as Drexel Hill Middle School and Beverly Hills Middle School? I heard the number for the taxes for $75,000. I find it interesting we're now using $75,000. We used to use $100,000. The funding for the fiscal year coming up, I assume, are we getting a feel for what the state's going to give us? Because I would think otherwise there'd be a need for a tax increase. So those are some of the things we've got to take into consideration. I wholeheartedly agree that our schools need an overhaul. The middle schools are horrible. Highland Park needs an overhaul. We need to get the kids back in from CenCal. We need to build a school in the east for the elementary school kids. We've got to do all that. And it's going to take a big effort. I give you a lot of credit for stepping up to do parts of the effort. You giggle, but you accepted the job, Dr. McGarry. And you guys pushed me hard when I was up in Harrisburg. I hope that same push is continuing today. I'm not seeing it on your social media as much as I did when I was up there, but I hope you're pushing our representatives to get that funding, to work to get PlanCon moving again, because those things will help our district tremendously. You've got projects ready to roll where you can get in there and get that funding. I hope whoever is doing the legislative side is pushing hard each and every day, not just going with the status quo. I was happy to see that just in the last week or so that two of our legislators jumped on board for fully funding, because that would help as well. Because I do take a look at these things. I've got the numbers. I know where we were back in 2013. I know where we are today from a basic ed standpoint. For some reason, that $16 million number never changes, even with the increases, unfortunately. We need that funding here so we can do our facilities. We've got to get it, and we've got to keep pushing for it. And tell us what the public we can do to help with that so that we can go get that funding for our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santora. I'll address all those at the end.
Yes, Bill Kaplan, 241 Highland Avenue in Upper Darby. I guess this is the general time to talk about the facilities? I thought it was after. Great.
Well,
Or is that?
We are taking up the information on the bond issues for
Okay.
some of the
So after
survey.
this, then I could?
You can now.
Oh, now, thanks. I do support what decisions that the board is making to continue finding the best place for the middle school. And I just wanted to state that you were elected to make the best decisions on behalf of the residents in Upper Darby, the Milbourne, and Clifton Heights. And so I think that is what is happening, that you are making the best decisions that you can, and that's what we appreciate. And I think that the conversations around this, there are a lot of issues that underlie people's reasoning for not wanting to have a middle school in Clifton or not wanting to have a school in other places. And so you probably have heard a lot of things, and you're going to continue to hear a lot of things. So I just really wanted to encourage you as public servants, right, to be prudent, which you are, and to continue making this decision, because as I've probably said in the past, that decision hasn't been made in like 20 years or more, ever since I've been here, and it's been pushed off, and now it's on your shoulders, and there are a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions, but the bottom line is you've been elected, and you're on the board, so we appreciate that you're making these decisions on behalf of everybody, and that you will probably be hearing a lot more comments, and I would hope that parents and people that I know do agree that there needs to be a new middle school, and that should be the bottom line, and that all the questions should be, is that being done with prudently? Is it being done with a fiscal conservative attitude? Is it being done respectfully? And I think a lot of that are legitimate, but you are the ones making that decision. And so, you know, we keep you in our prayers, and we are standing by you because you're going to get hit in a lot of different ways. So again, I appreciate that this board, as compared to a lot of other boards in the decades, has decided to stop pushing it off and making that decision. So I appreciate that.
Michelle Fitzpatrick, 908 Roberts Avenue. I know you're trying to go through with this $147 million in addition. We have other schools in this district that are falling apart. There's millions of dollars in repairs that need to be done. So the tax burden on us for building 2 new schools does not include every building being renovated, new bathrooms, heating systems, roofs. And my other concern is, how are you going to staff these buildings when you can't staff the buildings we have? We have a lot of positions that are not being filled. I'm all for the up and doing new things and smaller class sizes, but we have buildings deteriorating. And if you walk through, we came for a visit here to the high school. We were walking around buckets because the roofs are leaking. And that's not a good impression of the schools. We need to fix every school.
Agreed, Mrs. Fitzpatrick. Next up. Just for the record.
Ivy Wallace, 210 East Baltimore Pike, Clifton Heights, PA. I believe the plan for the new Clifton Field should include a track because elderly people do run the track. And elderly people, as we know, don't have much to do, no offense to anybody. And there's a lot of memories that certain people have there that are sentimental to them. That field is part of Clifton's history. And history, you can't just put a new plot down and be like, okay, we're going to move all of your memories and history over here. That's not how it works. And saying that's how it works just isn't going to sit well with some people. And I know some people are itching in this room to speak how they really feel, but it's going to offend a lot of people. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ivy.
Hi, good evening. My name's Sean Ryan. I live at 17 Fairview Avenue, Clifton Heights. I get it. We need schools. Education is very important. But so is that field. It's history. I am a Clifton Heights football alumni. It's the heart and soul of our town. I get it, we need a school, but that's not the right location. It's not. Judging on the classroom sizes of Primos Elementary School, they are very small. Have we ever considered of expanding Westbrook Park Elementary School and busing those students there and building the middle school on those lands, which would still be considered Upper Darby School District? Have we considered that? Instead of uprooting a town and all of its history? We get it, we're not against school. Children need an education, but don't uproot history. That's our town. Thank you for your time.
Hi, hello again. Dawnson Streeto, 250 West Washington Avenue, Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania. He's just said what I was going to say. Yeah, we all agree to have a new school, of course. Education's important. But that field, nobody understands the history of it. I mean, you really should do your research, okay? Because there's a lot that you need to know that what's underneath. I don't know what they're doing, but they are going to go forward with things. But can you find another location? There's so many. Like there's Clifton Mill they're going to knock down, Hillside Nursery, another spot, not our field. It's the only open green space we have. It's the only land we have left, and it's the heart of Clifton. I mean, I don't know if you guys can understand how we all feel. Please, can you just find somewhere else? We understand the overcrowdedness, we do. But please, can you just research more and find another spot, please? Clifton will not be the same without that field, please. I'm begging all of you, please, because everybody agrees. And nobody seems like they care. They don't care about Clifton Heights. Like, there should be somebody on this board that is a member from Clifton Heights, a resident. I mean, nobody's representing us. So we're over here fighting ourselves, okay? And God bless our mayor for getting everything, all the information out to us as quickly as possibly that he did, because we're all standing here, and then tonight you're talking about a lease, breaking our lease. That's why we're all here as well. What's with the lease? You're going to break it? No, I don't think, I don't know what's going on, but you guys, please be upfront with us. Okay? But all I'm asking is, you want to build a school, that's great, all for it, but not on the heart of Clifton.
Jane Tumalo, 12 West Windcliff Avenue. I also border Clifton Field where I live. If everybody here would please take a ride down to Windcliff Avenue, to Sycamore, to all the streets that this is bordering. I cannot drive 2 cars down where the bus depot is going to let out. You can't take 2 cars down that street at the same time. We're overcrowded now. We want schools. I worked for this district for 7 years. You don't have to tell me about the overcrowding. Every school district has overcrowding. Every one. Every closet and every office is now turned into a classroom. I understand that. The school district owns the property, but it's not the place for it. It is our town. It is where everyone gathers. Every one of my 4 children played football. My 39-year-old stepson and my 25-year-old daughter, every one of them played up there. Gets the kids off the streets. It gives them something to live for and to do. They ride their bikes up. Their parents can't get them there. They get there. The dedication that has been put into this small town, and this is what we have, and we're just begging to please reconsider and look for a place that's not going to hurt this district that I love. I went all through here, Beverly Hills, Upper Darby, Primos, worked at Primos. I love this area and have stayed here my whole life. And I'm just asking to please reconsider this spot and drive down our streets and see exactly where you're talking about it going, because it's my backyard. Thank you.
Jean Mundy, 235 Borough Road in Primos. Just a few questions.
trying to be very transparent here. What other alternatives have been chosen or looked at for this new school being built? Can anybody give me one example of another position that was looked at or considered for this school? Zero. Got it.
Going to address these questions at the end.
Good, okay. Then I have another question. Have you considered, like Springfield has? They're putting their high school on their field right now. And when that is done, they will take down the old school and have their field there. Another consideration that I don't think was even looked at or considered. Why a middle school instead of a high school? These schools have been filled to the brims for over 10 years. It's been 10 years since my son graduated here. I was the president of the football boosters. I've seen how many children walk these halls. It's not fair to them. We're not saying that it should not be built. We're saying consider somewhere else. Look at other options. Somebody told me we're going to do a turf field. $2 million for a turf field. Anybody else hear this? I'd like to spend my money somewhere else. Maybe a better school at Primos, fix whatever needs to be done at Highland Park, all the other schools that need help. We do not need turf fields. In the paper, it was quoted, I believe, as, what, $10 a year, 30 years? Now it's up to $30 a year, 30 years. I'm sure it'll keep increasing as we go. It's a new school. You're not sure of what these are going to cost people. I'm assuming this is for all of Upper Darby that'll be paying the taxes. Not sure what Clifton's going to get out of it, but other than we'll be able to use the fields on there that you're going to leave for us. And if that's the truth, I want to know what insurance company allows you to do that. You have to have separate insurance if you're going to let other people use your property. You know that from using Upper Darby. The other thing about the fields, who gets first preference? Does Clifton get first preference? Another thing I would like notarized and handed out, if you don't mind. The fireworks, can we still have them there? The insurance will let you do that. Another thing I'd like in writing, please. Carnivals, a lot of fundraisers, a lot of families come here. They come back from the shore to come here for the 4th of July. This is a family-oriented little community. You take this field away, you put a school there, you now created a city. We have children whose children have come back to move into this community because of everything that's brought here and because of the feel of a family. And we look out for each other. Your backyard is my front door. We're still part of the family. Please reconsider where you're going to put this school. But I agree, we need a school. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, Mrs. Monday. Ms. Smith?
My name is Kate Smith, 4716 Cedar Lane. I'm here tonight as the Home and School President for Aronimink Elementary Schools Home and School Association. And my concerns, of course, pale in comparison to the concerns that the residents from Clifton Heights have. My concern, though, is that our community hasn't understood the scope of the plan at Aronimink. And with the attention that the Clifton Heights issue is getting, I have a concern that the Aronimink community hasn't been able to hear the detail of what the proposal is. So right now, Aronimink has about 270 students in 11 classrooms. And when we had the presentation by Dr. McGarry and Mr. Salerno and a few board members were there, at that time, the proposal was still looking like the footprint of the school would stay the same. And now it sounds like, from the information I can read, that the footprint would greatly expand, doubling almost 2.5 times, actually, the size that the school is currently, which would also impact the property. And the reason that that's a concern, and I think it's a concern that you might want to give some attention to educating the neighborhood about, is because the tot lot is used by a large percentage of the community, and it might be that you have a plan to create a new tot lot at another part of the property, but it would be helpful if that were addressed. And then there are also concerns about the like what the pavement on the property would look like. People are wondering if the pavement would need to be increased. And right now, the property at Aronimink is used by a variety of community associations, including St. Dorothy's Athletics, the Upper Darby Football Club, the soccer organizations. But my request really is, could administration consider putting out a one-page document that goes to all the families explaining the proposal? Because the last information people really attended to was that the size of the building itself was staying the same, and it didn't seem like it would really be that big of an impact, and that it would be a welcome thing perhaps to have more students in the school as it did once upon a time. But the 700 size school is causing some concern. Thank you.
Hi, Leona Papali, 315 East Broadway Avenue, Clifton Heights, PA. We heard earlier, we saw a wonderful presentation put on by the Primos School with Principal Bill Rogers, regarding children who needed to be not time themselves out, needed some time to be put aside to calm down, relax if they were having a bad day or whatever. Think about this, the impact on the children of Clifton Heights who are hearing everything going on, their families, their friends, everybody talking about this. You're going to need more pillows in those rooms. You're going to need more closets. You're going to need some more space. It does affect them, as witnessed by this young lady who got up here and spoke from her heart. She spoke from her heart and said what she felt. Times that by all the other children that are having to deal with this and having to see it. We need to keep them in our minds also. They are the ones we care about, the children. Thank you for your time.
Mark J. Campbell, 236 Davis Avenue, Clifton Heights. The question is for the whole board of Upper Darby. I'm also on Clifton Heights Council. I'm just curious why no one from this board has contacted us directly. There is 8 of us on the board. I know you've been trying to talk to the mayor. He doesn't have a vote. It's the 8 people on council that has a vote. Where you want to build this school is in the 4th Ward. I am the councilman of the 4th Ward. Talk about the school was probably 2016. For 3 years, basically, no one has contacted anyone from Clifton Heights Council. So I'd just like to have an answer to that. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I don't see any other public comments. Can we please take the roll call, and then we'll go over the questions.
Ms. Gentile? Aye. Mr. Desnoyers? Aye. Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Mr. Fields? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. Dr. McGarry, I think we should address some of these concerns, although many of them will be addressed tomorrow night during the next town hall meeting. So I would like if you could just briefly go over the capital improvement plan in phase 1 and what we're looking at. We do need to start somewhere, and we do have a serious overcrowding issue, as you heard, in our elementary schools and our middle schools. So this is a multi-year, multi-building problem that we're trying to address that hasn't been addressed for quite some time, quite frankly. And honestly, we're trying to clean up a lot of mess right now. We have children, my own daughter included, who she's a senior this year in 7th grade, learned in a basement with no windows, in classes of over 30. Our teachers, came and they, they talked about their salaries and being valued, and the community came out and supported them. And also the condition of the buildings. That's a big concern for our teachers and how they educate and the educational spaces. We do not want to hurt Clifton Heights Borough. We want to make a school that can be the heart of your community and the heartbeat. This is not something that we're trying to do. Look, to accomplish this, to accomplish the building plan that includes a football field and baseball diamonds and a playground and parking, it requires 16 acres of land. I don't believe there are any other open spaces in Upper Darby that are 16 acres. 16 acres is required. Tonight, I heard that a modern, please don't yell out. Tonight, I heard from our solicitor that an actual school, a high school, if we were to build another high school, it takes, for a modern high school, 100 acres are required. I'm not sure we have that here. So, Dr. McGarry, if you could just go over the things that we're going to be addressing in phase 1 of this plan and what we're looking at.
Just first to start to Mr. Campbell, I appreciate the way that you came to the meeting. I have sent letters to each of the mayors requesting a meeting, and I heard back from Mr. Lombardo that he had to go to the council, to your team for that. My door is always open, so if anybody can come down for a conversation, sit down. I've requested a meeting with all 3 mayors to sit down to talk about this work and to talk about solutions to property. If there is anything available, we're conducive to have those kind of conversations, so I appreciate you bringing that up. I'll address the use of property. We have looked at and asked. I will also say that Mayor Macomberio and Tom Judge have met with us. They've talked about properties. We've looked into other properties. We've looked into Penn Pines. Unfortunately, it's on a flood zone and wouldn't be able to be built on in that area. We've looked at Rockbourne Falls. I made that pretty known. To get involved in a site that somebody wants $21 to $65 million for a property that wouldn't work, even though we did investigate that. We're not in a financial situation to spend 21 to 65 just for a property in of itself that's on a flood zone. That wouldn't work either. We did investigate that. I'll put this out there since you're letting me, and Kyle cut me off if I'm supposed to stop. But we also attempted to have a conversation about the Prendy location. And in an effort to do that, somehow, some way, it didn't come back to us. Some others got involved in that, but we did, as a school district, pursue looking at the Prendy piece. Why we weren't a consideration on another level, I don't know. I can't answer that question, but we did look into that. We've had conversations about property in Millbourne, but I understand that there's tax implications for that property, for that community. We've looked at putting 2 additions on the Drexel Hill Middle School. In full disclosure, educationally, and we can agree to disagree, 2,000 students on a 1 campus where you already have St. Bernadette's, you have kindergarten center, and you have Hillcrest Elementary School and the high school. The traffic and the issues that are there, they'd be problematic. But we have looked at a campus in addition onto that building. We've reached out to Upper Darby for open field space and for opportunities to do that. The other part of this that's important is that the district owns this property, owns this land. So going out and purchasing the land also adds to the expense. I will tell you that from the superintendent's position with the board, we're not closing doors to these conversations. I will express my level of concern. I've asked to meet. I've contacted people and met personally in September with certain people that are putting out there that's saying that this was a shock to people. I did reach out. I did have some meetings with some folks. I've sent letters to have a sit down and a conversation. Respectfully, I think if we can come together and work this out, I think we'll be there. To speak to Mr. Santori, to your point, we're not doing the 147 all at once, and that was discussed. It's on video as well. We're looking that we can't afford to do all that work at one time. We will be putting $5 million in capital improvements each year if we do this bond issuance to fix things like the roofs, like windows at Beverly Hills, at Highland Park, at Garriford Elementary School. So as we do this work, we will be keeping up with capital improvements for the current facilities that we have. We're not lost on the fact that we need to do that work. The initial borrowing will take $5 million each year of our initial bond issuance to improve capital improvements off of our priority list that's public, and you can review that. We're also looking to build a new middle school. And the elementary school is something that will happen eventually, but it can't happen first because we can't afford it all at one time. We can't afford $150, $160 million at one time. That's why the impact is what we're trying to keep as low as we can, spread out over time. The Aronimink came into play, to Mrs. Smith's point, because we're also trying to prevent other huge additions onto other properties that could save money. If we can get the space at Aronimink, it may allow us to move Highland Park sooner with that additional money and prevent us from having to put extra money and an additional cost onto an addition at Garriford. We looked into that as a cost savings over time to provide an immediate solution to what we have. Complimented Tom Judge and Mayor Macomberio recently too. Saturday provided me a look at 69th Street. There are no culverts running through the property, so moving forward, the Township of Upper Darby is working with us on a consideration of the land that we do own in Carrington to do some kind of a swap potentially. to have the elementary school on the 69th Street athletic fields. I think we partner together, we can solve a lot of these conversations. The MOU. I've also reached out personally to an email and then through phone conversations to the Clifton PAL and the Boys and Girls Club. Respectfully, the Clifton PAL, we've met, we've had conversations, I answered their questions, I've reviewed the field, I've invited them to be a part of it. If there's anything we do at Clifton, they could talk about the designing of the fields. I've emailed the Boys and Girl Club again today. I've also CC'd the board in those emails. I sent MOUs, an MOU today to Clifton PAL, as well as to the Boys and Girls Club, about a memo of understanding saying that you would have the first right to those fields. We'd allow cow pie bingo to occur, fireworks to occur, carnival to occur. We've sent that MOU out. I'm going to meet, if they're willing to meet, to have that conversation, to put to rest in writing, as was asked, I think, in the Beverly Hills meeting, to put to writing that we would continue that relationship with the Boys and Girls Club and the Clifton PAL to keep all those events and to have the right to those fields first before anybody else, as well as the gym before anybody else. So I sent the email to Mr. Getz today. I've emailed him twice, and I emailed him again today.
Please don't.
Never responded.
Meet with the mayor and the council.
Well, I've asked to meet with the mayor as well, and he said he can't meet with me until the council allows him to. Well, I guess respectfully, I'm being respectful to you. I feel like I've reached out. I'm asking to meet at some. But I reached out to the mayor, and Mr. Lombardo said he'd get back to me with a time when we can meet. That's what happened. I have it in writing.
Mayor don't vote.
I get it. I'll meet whenever you want. I'll meet whenever you want. Right
Mr.
away.
Campbell,
Sure.
if you could stay after the meeting and we'll set up, if you could help
I just think
us
it's-
with
yeah.
all the email addresses for your council people so that we could get a meeting set up with the Clifton Council. Absolutely, absolutely. Sure, but if you could help us get with all the information, because not everything's available on the website, so I appreciate that.
Does that answer the majority of the
I
questions?
think the bulk of it, yes. So the next report tonight is the finance and budget report, and that is Mr. Brown.
The Finance and Budget Report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please. Mr. Grant, did you have a comment, Ms. Jordan? Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, there's two items on the Finance and Budget Report, the Delaware County Community College 2019-2020 budget and the Delaware County Community College Capital Project Funding Resolution. As you just heard Dr. McGarry say, Delaware County Community College is in the process of acquiring the Prendy building. We received all the financial information at the end of last week. So I'd like to make a motion at this time to table our vote on these two resolutions until we have time to see what the impact on the Upper Darby residents will be.
A second? Are
Second.
there any comments from the board on that tabling motion? No comments? Okay, so I have to take a vote on that. Mr. Grant, would you please take a vote on the tabling of the motion for the Delaware County Community College budget and the capital?
And the
improvement?
capital project resolution. Ms. Gentile? Aye. Mr. Desnoyers?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Mr. Fields? Mr. Brown? Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. Now I'll take the, do they need to remove it, or no, those are taken off? So now, are there any other comments from the board? The public? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Grant.
Ms. Gentile? Aye. Mr. Desnoyers?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Dr. Taylor? Aye. Mr. Fields? Aye. Mr. Brown? Aye. Ms. Mitchell?
Aye, motion carries. The next up are our collateral assignment reports. Mrs. Jordan, the Delaware County Community College.
First, it started with the tour of the facility, Delaware County Community College, which is just a beautiful facility, and they showed us the new wing that they have, which is where all the trades are, taught, from automotive to, you name it, electrical. And then also, we discussed the acquiring of the Prendy building, and the resolutions were sent back with me. And that was really it.
Thank you. Dr. Taylor, the Delaware County Intermediate Unit.
I wanted to say congratulations to our Upper Darby students who were inducted into the National Technical Honor Society on March 29th, Anam Hossan and Julia Quach. So, congratulations to those kids. And then for this month, the parent workshop is going to be anxiety and children with autism. And so this workshop will provide an overview of anxiety and how it impacts your child on the autism spectrum. Parents will learn to identify the various signs and symptoms of anxiety. At the end of this training, participants will be able to identify indirect and direct strategies for supporting their children with anxiety. This parent workshop will be on Wednesday, April 24th from 6 to 8 p.m., and it will be at the Delaware County Intermediate Unit at 200 Yale Ave, Morton, PA, sorry.
Fields, do you have anything from the
Legislative Council meets tomorrow at the DCIU. They have not posted their agenda, so I don't have the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. I apologize. I'm not responsible for posting their agenda, so that's on them. Minutes from the previous Legislative Council, again, a long discussion about SB 34, Senate Bill 34, and House Bill 526. This is that cyber charter tuition bill that I've spoken about before, where I encourage everybody to call their friends and family and other parts of the county and the state and ask them to contact their state reps and their state senators to sponsor this bill and get it passed. Again, $4.2 million comes back to this district, right, every year if this bill gets passed. We really want this passed. Good news, House Bill 526 has always had Democratic and Republican sponsorship. The big news for the Senate bill, it's got one Republican sponsor, a whole bunch of Democratic sponsors, but Senator Dave Argyle is sponsoring it, and good for him. He's actually a big fan of SB 76, so this is like pretty impressive on his part. And that is everything I have for Legislative Council. That's the big thing.
I do want to say that we had our legislators in to tour the buildings several weeks ago. I believe I gave a report on that. We have been pressing them for financial resources in addition to our basic ed subsidy and the increases that have been proposed by Governor Wolf. We have been in contact with both representatives and Senator Kearney on a regular basis. I also do want to bring your attention to, and you'll see more on our social media page and through the Wednesday folders and probably through an email and a parent link from me. The school board is going to be holding a education funding community forum at Drexel Hill Middle School on May the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. I just was able to shore that up. We will have a guest speaker from the Public Interest Law Center who will be helping us with that presentation, and I hope to bring probably the PCCY as well into the event to help the school board go over the needs that are in our community for advocating for fair funding. I spent a lot of time in Harrisburg. I know the school board has a planned day on April 29th to go up, the entire state association to go up and speak with our legislators. I will also be going back on June, I believe it's the 3rd or the 5th. I don't have my calendar right in front of me, but it's the early part of June with the PA School Works campaign. I would encourage each one of you to look that up. PA School Works, sign up for their newsletters. They have at least 6 different advocacy days that are going on between now and when the final budget will be passed in Harrisburg. I'd encourage you to get on their bus and go. I mean, speaking to your legislators in Harrisburg shows them that you mean business. It's not just at the district office. Of course, they'll always meet with you in the district office, but it is it makes an impact. I know Mr. Santoro will tell you when we do come up to Harrisburg and advocate on behalf of the students of the district. The district is underfunded by $16 million by the state of Pennsylvania, not by the taxpayers. The taxpayers are paying their fair share, more than their fair share. But school boards, you know, we are required by law when we take the oath of office to support the Constitution of Pennsylvania. which requires that we provide for a thorough and efficient system of public education. And we all on this board take that job very seriously. So I do want to say that we do meet monthly. We are moving and shaking. We had a great event at the Delaware County Intermediate Unit with the PA School Works, where people from across the county, we're talking about districts that are well-funded, that are joining us and helping us. So it is, it's a great campaign, PA School Works. So I hope that you'll take a look at that on the website. The next up, the Mendenhall Tyson Scholarship Committee.
We're still waiting as people.
Still waiting? Okay. Home and School Association, Mrs. Jordan.
Thank you, Madam President. The Home and School Parent Advisory Group met on April 2nd. Dr. McGarry led the meeting, and there was a lot of discussion about the facilities study. Also, the elementary report cards, and just how there seems to be, a lack of understanding from the parents on how to interpret the information that's on the report cards. So there will be a committee put together, to re-look at the report cards again, to make them more user-friendly for the parents. And some ideas of, conferences, maybe centralizing conferences. I mean, having daycare always seems to be an issue for parents to come out. So a lot of that was discussed. Also, the school calendar, there was discussion at, I guess, a couple board meetings back from one of our board members about having schools start after Labor Day. I think the consensus, at least in our meeting, was to, continue with starting before Labor Day, but Mrs. Smith had a great idea, start with half-days. And that way, if it is warm, at least the students are out of the school by noon or 11. And the message that came across is, as long as parents know ahead of time, they can prepare when their kids, are let out early. That going day by day and saying we're closed or we're leaving early just doesn't work. Was there anything else, Dr. McGarry, that I missed?
Just to add to the elementary school report card, we're going to do some work on improving our ability to put out videos and tutorials on that work. It was mixed reviews. Some folks were concerned about having their child compared on a national level and on a local level. The report card puts your student where they should be at grade level and in comparison on a national. And there were other folks at the meeting who emailed and said, absolutely, I want to know where my child is. So we have to work on how we communicate that and then engage. I think one of the other points to the conversation became the idea of conferences. One point that Mr. Salerno had made, and he thought I'd be upset about it, but it's okay, is, we moved away from conferences because the instructional time with kids out of the building is hard. It's hard on the community, giving days off and half days, because we know that we have a working community and finding daycare is a concern. However, it's also a concern that we want, to find ways to have our parents engage in the academic outcomes for their kids. And if we're not providing that human contact and that explanation, we're losing some of that. So one of the considerations would be, let's look at conferences again in the beginning of the year and the second half of the year, and maybe have a student-led process with elementary school students and their parents to be engaged in that conversation. So we'll be putting that together. I will say in the interim, we'll probably be coming back with the calendar and maybe making the recommendation to start with the half days because of the weather, to give the parents a head start on that. And the second half of those days would be professional development time for our staff, so our staff would be here and getting some PD time. But all in all, it was a productive meeting, and I think we'll continue to do that. The other piece was this town hall meetings. Some parents did express at the meeting that they feel that they can't come to this forum and express their concerns, and take this with a grain of salt, that having to say where you live, your address, and where you are, and giving your opinion in some forums, as Ivy well said, sometimes it might not go over well if you express your opinion, and it's a differing opinion. So parents have asked that we come out to their home and schools or to their communities to share what's going on with the facility so they can express their opinions. We'll continue to do town hall meetings. We're doing 2 tomorrow night. We'll continue to do them wherever we can. We're thinking about holding them at local coffee shops, just getting out in the community and sending the message and getting feedback. The one thing that we don't want to have happen is close the door. We're not looking for a cantankerous situation. We're looking for a situation where we're trying to solve these problems together. And the feedback that we're getting from the home and school is, come out to us in a smaller venue, that board meetings and committee meetings maybe make people feel less secure in presenting the information.
Yes, on Friday, March 22nd, Dr. Rucci and I met with Dr. McGarry and our facilitator of our website, and we made several recommendations to improve and enhance the district's website. And I'm happy to report that many of the recommendations have already been implemented, so we're looking forward to improve and keep that going so we can get good communication out there and have a website that's conducive to who we are as a district and make it for easy navigation for parents and community members to get the information that they need. Thank you.
You can keep the microphone. Do you have any report from the PSBA liaison?
Other than the national conference that we went to, I think he wanted us to give, next meeting, we'll give a summary. I mean, I'm prepared to talk about the workshops and sessions that we all attended. It was a fantastic workshop at the Philadelphia Convention Center, but we'll save that for next meeting to provide details.
Policy, I don't believe there's anything in the pipeline. And communication, Dr. Taylor or Ms. Jordan? Okay. All right. Is there any old business from board members?
I just wanted to say thank you to Emily Catlett and Katie Mertens and everyone who helped here at the high school make the trades fair and career day on April 2nd and also the college fair on Wednesday, April 3rd. Such a success. They were amazing. There was a lot of enthusiasm around both of them. And I think it's really important that we let our kids know what the opportunities are out there in both the career path and in the college path. So thank you.
Thank you. And new business from board members. I have received from the Borough of Clifton Heights a resolution asking the school board to immediately take the necessary legal steps to establish a permanent school board seat dedicated to a resident and taxpayer of the borough. This was sent to me on March the 20th and has asked for a response or a seat on the board within the next 45 days, which brings us to the day after the primary election. I believe that the election seats, as far as who is running for office, is already set for the year. But what I would like to propose is that the board consider asking the administration to move forward with looking at the census data to consider options that of how the board could be comprised depending on the census data. Is everyone okay with that? Yes? All right. Everyone all right with that? You're not? Okay. All right. So Dr. Taylor, Mr. Fields, Ms. Jordan, Mr. Desmond. Okay. All right. We'll note your abstention. And the resolution number 2 from Clifton Heights Borough that I received, also dated March the 20th, was that the borough is now requiring an environmental study on any property being built over 1 acre. The school board was already intending to do all the required environmental studies that will be performed on Clifton Field, and it will be, disclosed in the public setting. That information once we obtain that. So that was the only old business or new business that I had from the board. I know, Dr. McGarry, that you have some business you want to talk about as far as the memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, I had announced, I have emailed and sent that out to Clifton Powell and to Mr. Getz. I guess moving forward, I'll continue to reach out, and the board will reach out to Mr. Campbell and the members of the council that are in Clifton Borough. I'll continue to try to reach out to the youth organizations. Is it fair to say that you would like a copy of the MOU, or is it okay to continue to go through that as well? The MOU is clear that it is allowing for the same use of the property and the same use of the fields to continue the same traditions and the same pride that exist, as well as the opportunity to have access to a gymnasium, 2 gymnasiums as well. So I'll share that information and we'll go from there.
Now, at the time of our public hearing, we'll call upon Upper Darby residents who signed in to address the board in the order in which they signed in. We ask that you come forward, state your name and address for the record, and present your comments in a 3-minute time period. I have 4 people who signed in tonight. Ms. Suzanne Brittis.
Suzanne Brittis, 319 Austin Drive. I wanted to touch on some information I came across. Back in November, we had made the decision to move forward with the pathways for high school, where we lowered the graduation requirements, and we also provided, I guess, different scenarios for how students can meet those graduation requirements. It's come to my attention that after we had moved forward with that, in February, when the governor presented his budget, he put forward a policy that changes the compulsory attendance age, and that would raise it to 18. I did actually call the governor's office to find out, because the one particular pathway that concerned me was students being able to leave at the end of their junior year of high school. And according to this policy, if it passes with the budget this summer, those students would be required to remain enrolled in an educational program. So I was wondering if this is information you guys were aware of, and if we had started any type of contingency planning for this.
Mrs. Burtis, I'm sure Dr. Margera will address that in the future, if it passes with the budget.
Okay, so we're gonna deal with it in a fly by the seat of our pants kind of situation?
We usually do committee meetings.
Right, we'll bring it up at a future committee meeting, Ms. Burtis, okay?
Okay, would you be able to notify me so I can make sure that I'm there to ask the questions?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I want to plug the after prom. We need help. We need help from elected officials, administrators, any teachers that might be willing to do it, and the community at large. This program saves lives. I'll debate anybody on that, and I don't think there's anybody sitting at this table that would debate it with me. The after prom is one of the greatest programs we have here for our seniors at Upper Darby High School, and we have some pretty great programs. But it's June 1st. It starts at midnight. It goes till 5 in the morning. However, we are going to be working from this point forward multiple days a week, getting the sets together and I can't tell you what it is. There are a few people here that have volunteered and know what it is, but it's a big bang for the seniors. It's an alcohol, drug-free environment and keeps them from going to the shore or the mountains and risking their lives. And that's pretty straightforward. It is a great program. We got a great bunch of volunteers, but we need more. Number two, I need to acknowledge one of the counselors that I've come to love here at Upper Darby High School, Tish Mejias, and I know I butchered her name a little, but Mejias. I brought it up at our last home and school meeting. Other parents I've talked to, she is, and I'm not saying anything about any of the other counselors because I just don't know them the way I know her. She is absolutely phenomenal. You have a superstar there, and you should make sure that you honor that woman. She deserves it. And for our newly official, no longer interim role folks over here, again, thanks for going through it all and being there and supporting the district when you could have jumped shipped, gone somewhere else. Because one thing we're really good at Upper Darby is being a feeder for other districts. And you know why? Because we do it right. And you guys and ladies are a great team. You do it for the kids, and that's what matters. So thank you. I promised you I was going in a different direction, and I did.
Thank you.
One other nice thing about the after prom is a lot of students don't go to the senior prom, but they are always welcome to go to the after prom activities at midnight. And also, I just want to give another shout out to one of our teachers, AJ Bianchi, who is unbelievable. She is collecting old, prom gowns that, of course, all our kids only wear them one time. Suits and shirts for our students who just can't afford to go out and buy the gown. So I would suggest if anybody has them to reach out to Ms. Simone through email and you can drop them off. She is just an amazing woman. I know she works 2 jobs and I know she has a lot on her plate, but when I was dropping off those gowns last week, I mean, she was just so thrilled because she feels she helps these kids be able to have a dream and go to a senior prom because you only have one time to do that.
Mr. Lombardo?
Joe Lombardo, 33 West Baltimore Avenue, Clifton Heights. Dr. McGarry. I would like to ask the board about the resolution regarding the termination of the lease of the Clifton Field that was originally on the agenda tonight that was pulled. I'd like to ask why it was pulled. I'd like to ask what the status of that is, okay, and why that came about all of a sudden. You guys, when I say you guys, the board as a group, have been preaching the fact that you're trying to be transparent and you want the community to be involved. But it seems like these decisions that you are making are spur-of-the-moment decisions, or they're decisions that are being made behind closed doors. You obviously did a traffic study and put traffic counters on our private streets. It would have been nice to get a courtesy call to Borough Hall or to our chief of police to let us know that you were doing that. The fact that this was on the agenda for tonight, this resolution to rescind the lease, it would have been nice to get a registered letter at Borough Hall, an email, a phone call, something ahead of time. Okay? That's all I'm asking.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm about to address you. If you would just, I'm just reviewing the different things. If you could just give me a moment. First of all, I made the decision tonight to pull the lease termination. It was not a lease termination. It was an authorization for our administration to move forward with a lease determination. The board does have to act in public if we're going to do something. I asked if the MOUs were taken care of with the Clifton Heights Boys Club and Girls Club and the Clifton PAL. I want to make sure that our children of this community have access to those fields on a first-right basis, because it is the fabric of your community. So I thought tonight it would be prudent to pull back and discuss it a little bit more so that we could make sure that all the clubs are on board with the access so that they know what they're getting. Because I think there's been a lot of misinformation put out into the community about what has been communicated. And we're trying to dispel those myths. There will be a football field. There will be baseball diamonds. There will be mini soccer fields. There will be a community playground if this project does move forward. So we just want to make sure that everyone has all of the information. I also want to make sure that we talk to the borough if there's any other additional events that we are not aware of. That resolution also would have authorized the administration to get all that information from the borough. So those are all the different things that we wanted to make sure happens before we move forward with the lease termination clause. As far as being notified, Mr. Lombardo, I don't believe that anyone besides your attorney, after you passed a resolution, notified us that you were requiring that one of us resign in the next 45 days when we've been duly elected to the school board. So as far as that goes, in the spirit of cooperation, I would love to talk to you after the meeting. With that, there's a motion in order for adjournment. All in favor? Aye.